My name is Frances Carter, and I was 26 years old when I signed the adoption papers for a baby girl that my own mother said would ruin my life. I was single. I had a 2-bedroom apartment with a crib I assembled myself, and a career in child protective services that paid $42,000 a year. No husband, no savings account worth mentioning, no family lined up to help with diapers at 3 in the morning. My mother said, "You can't even take care of yourself." My father said, "That child will ruin your life." And then, the same day I brought my daughter home from the foster agency, the same afternoon I held her for the first time and fed her a bottle on a second-hand couch, a letter arrived in my mailbox. From my mother. Cream paper. Monogrammed. It did not say congratulations, but here's what none of them knew. 14 years later, that baby girl would stand at a podium, in front of 300 people, and read that letter out loud. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories. This is a place where we share stories of quiet strength, family truth, and the kind of justice that doesn't need to raise its voice. If this story hits home, drop a comment below and make sure you're subscribed, because this one still makes my hands shake. Before Lily, before the letter, before any of it. I was a caseworker. I worked for the county's Child Protective Services Department out of a beige office with fluorescent lights that buzzed when it rained. My desk had 3 stacks of manila folders at all times, one for open cases, one for pending reviews, one for kids I couldn't stop thinking about after 5 in the afternoon. I was good at my job. I knew what a stable home looked like on paper. I could spot a bad placement from across a conference table. I had written 50 home studies by the time I was 25. I knew the system. I believed in it, mostly. I saw it fail every week. I was also 24 when my gynecologist told me I had endometriosis. Stage 3. She said it calmly, the way doctors do when the news is permanent. She explained the implications. I asked if I could still have children. She said it was unlikely. She said I should consider my options early. I didn't tell my parents for 6 months. When I finally did, at Sunday dinner, between the salad and the roast, my mother set down her fork and said, "Well, maybe that's God's way of saying you're not meant to be a mother." She said it like she was offering wisdom. My father reached for the bread basket. My sister Stacy looked at her plate. I drove home that night with the windows down and my hands tight on the wheel. I didn't cry. I went to work the next morning. I opened a manila folder. Inside was a case file for a newborn girl surrendered at Regional Medical 3 days earlier. No next of kin. No placement yet. I read it twice. Then I read it a 3rd time. Something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a quiet turning, like a key in a lock you forgot you had. It took me 4 months to complete the home study on myself. I knew the checklist by heart. I had evaluated hundreds of families using the same form. Background check, financial disclosure, home inspection, 3 personal references. I asked Margaret Hayes, my supervisor, to write one of them. She laughed and said, "I've been waiting for you to ask." When the approval came through, I decided to tell my family. I chose Sunday dinner again. I don't know why. Maybe because that table felt like the only courtroom my mother respected. I waited until everyone had food in front of them. Donna at the head, Richard across from me, Stacy beside her husband Greg, who was already cutting his chicken. "I've been approved to adopt," I said. "A baby girl from the foster system. Her name isn't picked yet. I go through matching next week." Silence. Donna set down her fork. Slowly. The way she does when she wants you to notice. "You can't even take care of yourself, Frances." She said it without raising her voice. That was the thing about my mother. She never yelled. She just spoke at a volume that made the whole room hold its breath. Richard shook his head. "That child will ruin your life. Think about what you're doing to this family." I looked at Stacy. She was staring at her napkin. "She's not a problem, Mom. She's a baby." Donna leaned back. "What am I supposed to tell people at church? That my daughter is raising someone else's problem?" "She's not someone else's problem." "She is. And you're choosing this over everything we've built." I put my napkin on the table. stood up, walked to the door. Nobody followed me. The drive home took 37 minutes. I didn't turn on the radio. Let me tell you about my sister. Stacy married Greg Miller when she was 23. They had a house by 25, thanks to the down payment Donna and Richard gave them. $40,000. A gift, not a loan. Donna made sure everyone at church knew about it. When Stacy got pregnant with her first, Donna threw a shower for 40 guests, 3-tier cake, matching decorations. She cried during the toast. "My baby is having a baby," she said, and everyone clapped like it was the most beautiful thing they had ever heard. When Stacy had her second, Donna moved in for 2 weeks to help. Cooked every meal, did every load of laundry, told anyone who would listen that being a grandmother was the greatest joy of her life. For me, a letter. Not one of congratulations, not one of joy. A letter that said, "Don't come back." 2 weeks after that Sunday dinner, Stacy called me at 11 at night. She whispered like she was hiding in a closet. "Frances, I'm sorry. I wish I could help. But you know how Mom is." "But Mom is what?" She won't let it go. And if I get involved, she'll turn on me too." "So you're not getting involved?" Long pause. "I just can't get in the middle of this." "You're already in the middle, Stacy. You've always been in the middle. You just chose a side." She didn't say anything. I hung up. Stacy got a baby shower with 40 guests and a 3-tier cake. I got a letter. I never held that against her. Not really, but I never forgot it either. There's a difference between forgiveness and memory. I had room for both. The day I adopted Lily was a Thursday in March. It rained that morning, the kind of steady, quiet rain that makes everything feel slower. I wore a navy cardigan and flats. I packed a diaper bag the night before. Checked it 3 times, then checked it again at 5:47 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. Margaret drove me. She said she didn't trust me behind the wheel on a day like this, and she was probably right. The foster agency was in a converted office building on Prospect Street. Beige walls. That same buzzing fluorescent light I knew from work. The caseworker, a woman named Diana, smiled when she saw me. "You ready?" "I've been ready for 2 years." They brought her in a white blanket, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, brown eyes that tracked the fluorescent light like she was studying it. She had a tiny fist, and when I held her, that fist wrapped around my pinky finger like she had been waiting for exactly that hand. I signed the papers in a small room with a table that wobbled. Manila folder, blue ink pen. My signature on page 11, 14, and 22. Diana handed me the discharge paperwork. "Congratulations, Mom." I don't remember if I said thank you. I think I just nodded. Margaret cried. She said she wasn't going to, but she did. I drove home with Lily in a car seat I had installed, removed and reinstalled 3 times that week. Margaret followed in her car, just in case. The apartment was small but clean. 2 bedrooms, a crib with a mobile I bought at a consignment shop. Little wooden stars that spun when you wound them up. I set Lily in the crib. She stared at the stars. I stared at her. Then I checked the mailbox. The envelope was cream-colored, heavy stock. The kind of paper you buy when you want the recipient to know you are serious. Monogrammed in the upper left corner, DC Donna Carter. My mother sent a letter, not a card, a letter. The kind you send when someone dies. Except I hadn't died. I'd just adopted a baby. I carried it inside with Lily sleeping against my chest. Set the envelope on the kitchen counter while I warmed a bottle. I could feel the weight of it. Not physical weight, the other kind. I opened it standing up. "Frances, I cannot support this decision. You are throwing your life away for someone else's mistake. That child comes from God knows where. You don't know her parents. You don't know her history. You don't know what kind of problems she'll bring into your life. And you expect us to pretend this is normal? Don't come home. Don't call. Don't bring her here. Until you come to your senses, you are on your own." Mom. I read it once. Then again. Then I folded it and put it back in the envelope. I found a shoebox in the closet. The one from a pair of boots I bought in college and never wore. I put the envelope inside. I put the shoebox on the top shelf. Then I fed my baby. That was more important. I didn't cry that night. I wanted to. The words sat in my chest like a stone I couldn't swallow and couldn't spit out. But Lily needed a bottle at midnight and another at 3:15, and by the time the sun came up, I was too tired for tears. I told myself I would deal with the letter later. Later turned into 14 years. The first year was the hardest year of my life, and I had survived a lot of hard years. No babysitter, no family dropping by with casseroles, no mother calling to ask if the baby slept through the night. Daycare had a wait list. 3 months. I went back to work at 8 weeks because I had burned through my leave, and the county doesn't extend that for single adoptive parents. Margaret watched Lily in her office for the first 2 weeks until a spot opened at the community daycare on Elm Street. $16 a day, $160 a fortnight I didn't really have. Lily had colic. Not the mild kind, the kind that starts at 6 in the evening and doesn't stop until 2 in the morning. I walked the hallway of my apartment building in socks, bouncing her against my shoulder, humming songs I made up because I couldn't remember the real ones. My neighbor in 4B knocked on my door at midnight. "Can you keep that baby quiet?" "I'm trying, sir." "Try harder." I closed the door, kept walking. Margaret left frozen casseroles on my doorstep once a week. No note, just Tupperware and kindness. Christmas came. Donna hosted dinner for 14 people. I wasn't one of them. Stacy texted, "Merry Christmas, Francis. Miss you." I didn't reply. I bought a small artificial tree at the dollar store, 2 feet tall. I put one ornament on it, Lily's first. A tiny silver bell that Margaret gave us. Lily was 9 months old. She sat in her high chair and stared at the bell like it contained every secret in the world. The shoebox stayed on the shelf. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. I could feel it there. The way you feel a scar without touching it. Familiar. Permanent. Mine. The second year was easier. Not easy. Easier. Lily started sleeping through the night at 13 months. I started sleeping at 13 months and 1 day. Daycare moved her to the toddler room. Her teacher said she was social. Curious. Already pointing at everything and waiting for someone to name it. I got promoted to senior caseworker. A small raise. Enough to stop checking my bank account every morning. I found a foreclosure listing on the county website. A small house on Birch Lane. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a backyard with a fence that needed replacing. The bank was asking $68,000. I offered $62,000, and they took it. Margaret helped me move. She carried boxes while I carried Lily on my hip. "You're building something, Francis." "I'm just buying a house." "No. You're building something." I replaced the fence myself. Painted Lily's room pale yellow, hung a shelf for books because Lily was already pulling at spines whenever we went to the library. Her first word was, "Mama." She said it at 14 months, standing in the kitchen, holding the edge of the counter with both hands. I was washing dishes. She said it once, clearly, like she had been practicing. I turned off the water, picked her up, held her. "That's right," I said. "I'm Mama." I started telling her early, every night before bed. "I chose you, Lily. Before you could walk, before you could talk, I chose you. And I would choose you again." She didn't understand the words yet, but she understood the voice. Richard sent a birthday card that year. My birthday, not Lily's. No note inside, just his signature. I put it in a drawer and forgot about it. Some doors don't open. Some doors were never opened to begin with. And some doors, you just stop knocking. Lily was 5 the first time a teacher called me in for a conference, and it wasn't about a problem. Mrs. Huang sat across from me with Lily's reading assessment spread on the desk. She had a look on her face I recognized from work. The look people get when they have good news but don't quite know how to say it. "Ms. Carter, Lily is reading at a 4th grade level. She's in kindergarten." "I know. That's why I called you in." I sat there for a second. Just sat. Because I had spent 5 years carrying the weight of people who said this child would ruin my life, and now a teacher in a classroom with alphabet posters on the wall was telling me my daughter was 3 years ahead. Is that a problem? Mrs. Huang smiled. It's the opposite of a problem. Lily was social too. She had friends. She shared her crayons without being asked. She helped a boy named Marcus tie his shoes every morning because his fingers were still figuring out loops. She knew she was adopted. I started telling her at 3, in language she could hold. You grew in another mommy's tummy, but you grew in my heart. One night, tucking her in, she said, "But you're my real mommy." I smoothed her hair. Always. Even if I was in someone else's tummy? Especially then, because I didn't have to choose you. I got to choose you. She thought about that. Then she pulled the blanket up to her chin and said, "Okay, can we go to the library tomorrow?" We went every Tuesday. It was our ritual, our one sacred thing. Tuesday afternoons, the children's section at the Millbrook Public Library, a stack of books between us that we couldn't carry home without a bag. She was 5. She was perfect. And nobody in my family had ever met her. The phone rang on a Wednesday evening. Lily was 6.5. She was coloring at the kitchen table. I was making spaghetti. The caller ID said, "Mom." I hadn't seen that word on my screen in 4 years. I turned the burner down, stepped into the hallway, answered. "Francis, it's your mother." "I know. I've been thinking. Maybe it's time I met her." I leaned against the wall, closed my eyes. Her name is Lily. I know what her name is. Do you? Because the last time you mentioned her, you called her someone else's mistake. Silence. I just think maybe I should meet her. But Francis, people in town don't know about the situation. I was thinking somewhere private. The park maybe. Just us. Somewhere private. Yes. Without labels. I waited a beat. Let the word sit. Labels. You know what I mean. I do. You don't want to be called grandmother. I just think it's too soon for all of that. It's been 6 years, Mom. Exactly. It's complicated. I watched Lily through the doorway. She was coloring a horse purple and orange. She was humming a song she made up about a cat who lived on the moon. No. No? Lily has a grandmother or she doesn't. You're either in this family or you're out of it. I won't introduce you as a stranger. She deserves better than that. My mother's breathing changed. I could hear it. That tight, clipped sound she makes when she's been told no. I'll call you back. She didn't call back for 3 years. I didn't wait by the phone. I had spaghetti to finish and a daughter who needed me to identify which shade of orange was better for a horse's mane. Apparently, there was a difference. She was very clear about that. The grocery store, cereal aisle, a Tuesday. I was reaching for a box of Cheerios when a woman in a quilted vest touched my elbow. "Francis? Francis Carter?" I turned. It took me a second. Then I placed her. Barbara Nolan. My mother's friend from First Baptist. Book club. Bake sales. Donna's orbit. "Oh, honey, I heard you've been struggling. Is everything okay?" I set the cereal in the cart. Slowly. "What did she tell you?" Barbara's smile faltered. "Just that you took on more than you could handle, that you're, well, having a hard time." Having a hard time? She said the whole situation has been very difficult, that you're barely managing. I looked at Barbara. She was wearing pearl earrings and concern that didn't belong to her. "I'm a program supervisor at Child Protective Services. I manage a staff of 12. My daughter is in the gifted program at Millbrook Elementary. She reads at a 6th grade level and she just won 2nd place in the school science fair." Barbara's mouth opened slightly. Closed. "We're fine." "Oh." She said. I know what she said. Barbara shifted her weight, adjusted her purse strap. "Well, it's good to hear you're doing well." "It is." I turned back to the cart, kept shopping. My hands were shaking. Not from anger, from the realization. Donna hadn't just rejected me. She had been narrating my failure to everyone she knew for 6 years. Every book club, every church potluck, every holiday gathering. Poor Frances. She took on too much. That child is more than she can handle. My mother had been telling people I was falling apart for 6 years. I found out in the cereal aisle on a Tuesday. I didn't call Donna. I didn't confront her. I just kept building. 3rd grade. Family tree project. Lily brought the worksheet home on a Monday. It had empty branches spread across the page like arms reaching for names she didn't have. She sat at the kitchen table. Pencil ready. Mom, do I have grandparents? I was drying a plate. I set it down. You do. They live about 40 minutes from here. Why don't they visit? I chose my words the way I choose words in case reports. Carefully, precisely, without sharp edges. Sometimes adults make decisions that hurt other people, and sometimes they don't know how to fix it. Did they make a decision about me? They made a decision about both of us. Lily looked at the worksheet, then at me. Were they mean to you? They were scared, I think, and scared people sometimes say things they can't take back. She was quiet for a long time. Then she picked up her pencil and drew the family tree. 2 branches, 2 names. Frances, Lily. She colored the tree with green and brown crayons, pressing hard the way she does when she's concentrating. There, she said. That's our family. I looked at the tree. No grandparents, no aunts or uncles or cousins. Just us. That's our family, I said. She got an A. That night, after she was asleep, I stood in the hallway outside my closet. The shoebox was on the top shelf. Same spot it had been for 9 years. I hadn't opened it, hadn't moved it. But I thought about it sometimes, late at night when the house was quiet and the only sound was Lily breathing in the next room. I thought about it. And then I closed the closet door. Again. Some things keep better in the dark. The promotion came on a Friday morning. The county administrator called me into his office and said, "We'd like you to run the whole program. Program director, Child Protective Services, the entire county." My salary would be $78,000, more than double what I made the day I brought Lily home. I would oversee 6 supervisors, 42 caseworkers, and a budget of $11 million. I said yes before he finished the sentence. Margaret called that evening. She was retired by then, living in a cottage near the lake, growing tomatoes she gave away to anyone who knocked. "I told you," she said. "The day you adopted that baby, I told you. You told me I was building something. And look at what you built." The local paper ran a profile. Small piece, back section. County Program Director, from caseworker to leader. They used my official photo. The one where I'm standing in front of the department seal with my arms at my sides and a look on my face that Margaret called quietly terrifying. I cut out the article, put it on the refrigerator next to Lily's honor roll certificate. Stacy saw it online. She texted, "Congratulations, Frances." No emoji, no follow-up conversation, no phone call, just 7 letters and a period. "Thank you," I wrote back. 8 letters and a period. Donna saw it too. I know because Barbara Nolan ran into me at the pharmacy and said, "Your mother mentioned the newspaper article." She seemed surprised. Surprised. Not proud. Not happy. Surprised. Like she had been waiting for me to fail for 12 years and didn't know what to do with the alternative. Lily was turning 13 that summer, and she was about to find something I had been keeping for half her life. The summer before 8th grade, I finally renovated the master closet. Lily was 13. Tall for her age, brown eyes that had gotten deeper, like they were collecting everything she saw and filing it away. She offered to help me clear out boxes while I was at the hardware store picking up shelf brackets. "Just stack everything in the hallway," I told her. "I'll sort through it when I get back." I was gone 45 minutes. Traffic on Birch Lane, a line at the register. When I came home, the hallway was stacked with boxes, old photo albums, tax files from 2015, a bag of winter hats, and the shoebox. It was on the floor, slightly to the left of where the other boxes were stacked. Lid on, but tilted. Like someone had picked it up, opened it, looked inside, and put it back carefully, but not carefully enough. Lily was in the kitchen, doing homework, earbuds in. She didn't look up when I walked past. Thanks for stacking those. No problem. I went to the hallway, picked up the shoebox, opened it. The cream envelope was still inside, monogrammed. DC. I could see the fold line where I had creased it 13 years ago, but there was a new fold. A small one, near the bottom left corner. The kind you make when you're holding a piece of paper and your hand tightens. Someone had read it. I looked toward the kitchen. Lily was writing in her notebook. She erased something, wrote it again. I put the shoebox back on the shelf. The new shelf. Higher than before. My daughter had read that letter. She knew what her grandmother wrote. She knew what they called her. Someone else's mistake. I waited for her to say something. She didn't. Not that night. Not the next day. Not that week. The shoebox sat on the shelf. The envelope inside it. The words inside the envelope. And my daughter carried them somewhere I couldn't reach. Lily was different after that summer. Not in the way you'd see from the outside. She still got her grades, still went to the library on Tuesdays, still laughed at terrible puns and corrected my grammar when I texted. But underneath, something had shifted. She asked more questions. Not about school or friends, about me, about the early years. What was it like when I was a baby? Were you scared? Terrified. Every single day. But you didn't give up. Giving up wasn't an option. She wrote in a journal more. I saw her at her desk late at night, bent over a composition book with her hair falling across her face. When I knocked, she'd close the book and look up like nothing happened. Just homework. It wasn't homework. One evening in October, she was doing the dishes. I was reading case files at the table. She turned off the water and said, without looking at me, "Mom, if someone wrote something really mean about you, would you want people to know?" I put down my pen. Depends on who wrote it and why. What if it was someone who was supposed to love you? Then the truth would matter more than keeping it secret. She nodded. Slowly, like she was filing the answer away. Okay. She went back to the dishes. I went back to my files, but I didn't read a single word. I sat there staring at the same paragraph for 10 minutes, thinking about the shoebox on the shelf and the envelope inside it and my daughter's question. She asked me if the truth mattered more than keeping secrets. I said yes. I didn't know she was taking notes. 8th grade started 2 weeks later. Her teachers said she was the strongest student they had seen in a decade. Nobody was surprised when they predicted valedictorian. If you've ever had someone in your family tell you that you couldn't do something, and you did it anyway, drop a comment below. Tell me what they said and how you proved them wrong. And if this story is hitting close to home, make sure you subscribe. Because what happens at Lily's graduation? I still can't talk about it without my hands shaking. 8th grade was Lily's year. October. She won the regional science fair with a project on water filtration using recycled materials. I took the day off to watch. She stood in front of 3 judges and explained polymer absorption rates like she was teaching a class. One of the judges asked where she learned this. She said, "The library on Tuesdays." December. Principal Owens called me at work. "Ms. Carter, Lily is our projected valedictorian. She'll give the commencement speech in June." It's Ms. And yes, she will. I sat at my desk after the call and looked at the manila folder in front of me. I thought about the day I signed Lily's adoption papers in a room with a wobbling table and a caseworker named Diana. I thought about the caseworker who said, "Congratulations, Mom. 14 years. From a manila folder to a commencement speech." That evening, Lily came home and set her backpack by the door. She had that look. The one she gets when she has already made a decision and is just waiting for the right moment to announce it. "I want to write my own speech. Can I?" "Of course. It's your moment." "I already know what I want to say." The way she said it. Certain. Quiet. The kind of certainty that comes from carrying something for a long time and finally knowing what to do with it. I should have asked. I should have said, "What do you want to say?" I should have sat down with her and talked it through. But I didn't. Because I trusted her. Because she had earned that trust every day for 14 years. "Then say it," I told her. She smiled. Not her usual smile. Something deeper. Something that had a plan behind it. I didn't catch it then. I called Donna in March. I sat on the edge of my bed for 20 minutes before I dialed. The number was still in my phone. I had never deleted it. I don't know why. Maybe the same reason I kept the letter. It rang 4 times. "Hello?" Her voice. The same. A little older, a little thinner, but the same cadence. The same way she answers the phone like she's doing you a favor. "Mom, it's Frances." A pause. "Frances. Lily is graduating 8th grade in June. She's valedictorian. She's giving the commencement speech." Silence. Then, "Valedictorian?" "Yes." "Well, that's impressive." She said impressive the way you say interesting when you mean something else entirely. "June 14th, 2 in the afternoon, Jefferson Middle School." "We'll be there." She said it quickly. Too quickly, like she had already started planning what to wear. I hung up, stared at the wall. I wasn't doing this for them. I wasn't doing it for reconciliation or forgiveness or the hope that my mother would finally say she was wrong. I was doing it because Lily deserved to see what a full auditorium looks like. And because some part of me, the part that still drove past their house sometimes without stopping, wanted them to see what they missed. I told Lily that evening. "I invited your grandparents to graduation." She was at her desk. She turned around slowly. "Good. They should come." She said it the way a prosecutor says, "Please take the stand." Calm. Measured. Like the outcome was already decided. I noticed the emphasis. The way she said should, not could. But I didn't question it. I was her mother, not her editor. "You okay with that?" "I'm okay with it." She turned back to her desk, closed her notebook. I stood in the doorway for a moment longer than I needed to. Donna prepared for that graduation like she was preparing for a campaign event. I heard about it through Stacy, who called me for the first time in months, not to talk about the invitation, to warn me. "Mom's being weird about this. She's telling everyone she's reconnecting with you." "She isn't." "I know. But she bought a new dress." She told her book club that her granddaughter is valedictorian. She used the word granddaughter. Frances. She hasn't used that word in 14 years. I let that sit. "She's acting like she's always been involved," Stacy said. "She hasn't." "I know." Silence. The familiar kind. "Are you coming?" I asked. "The kids have soccer that day." "It's a Saturday." "I know. They have a tournament." I almost laughed. Stacy had been finding excuses for 14 years. The soccer tournament was just the latest one. She had a whole library of reasons not to show up. The kids were sick. The drive was too far. Greg had plans. The weather was bad. "I understand, Stacy." "I'm sorry, Frances." "I know." I hung up. I wasn't angry. I was past that. Anger requires expectation, and I had stopped expecting anything from my sister a long time ago. The next week, Barbara Nolan stopped me at the post office. "Your mother is so excited about the graduation, she told the whole book club." "Is that right?" She said Lily takes after the Carter side, smart as a whip. I looked at Barbara. She was beaming, like she was delivering good news, like Donna claiming credit for a granddaughter she once called someone else's mistake was something to celebrate. My mother bought a new dress for the graduation of a child she refused to meet for 6 years. The dress was lavender. She would wear it like armor. Lily worked on her speech every night for 3 weeks. She sat at her desk with the door closed and a composition book open in front of her. Sometimes I heard her reading aloud, not performing, just testing the words, checking the rhythm. She had my habit of reading important things out loud to hear how they sounded. I knocked one evening. "Need any help? I've written a few speeches for work." She opened the door halfway. "No, Mom, this one's mine." "Fair enough." I respected it. She was 14. Her moment. Her words. I had raised her to own the things she said, and I wasn't going to undermine that by hovering. But I noticed things. She had been going through old photo albums, the ones from her first year, the blurry ones I took with a cheap camera because I couldn't afford anything better. Lily in the crib. Lily on a blanket in the yard. Lily's first library Tuesday. She asked questions over dinner. Casual. Almost too casual. What was the foster home like? Small. Clean. They took good care of you. How old was I when you first held me? 3 days. Did anyone help you? Like, in the beginning? Margaret. She was the only one. Lily nodded, wrote something on her napkin, folded it into her pocket. One night I passed her room on the way to bed. The door was cracked open. She was at her desk, and in her hand, something cream-colored, an envelope. I knew that envelope. I knew that monogram. DC. I kept walking. My stomach dropped. My feet did not. I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling fan going around and around. My daughter had the letter. She was putting something together, and I was going to let her. Because whatever she was going to do with it, she had earned the right. June 14th, 82 degrees by noon. I ironed Lily's white dress at the kitchen table while she ate pancakes. She was calm. Unnervingly calm. She ate like it was any other day. 1 pancake, 2 tablespoons of syrup, glass of orange juice. Nervous? No. She wiped her mouth with a napkin. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I pressed the iron flat across the collar. Steam rose. I watched her through it. Good. We drove to Jefferson Middle School in my Honda. The parking lot was already full. I found a spot near the back, next to a minivan with balloons tied to the antenna. I could see the entrance. Double doors propped open because the air conditioning couldn't handle 300 bodies in June. Then I saw the silver sedan. My mother's car. Parked in the second row, as close to the entrance as possible. I turned off the engine, sat for a moment. They're here, Lily said. Not a question. They're here. Lily adjusted her cap in the visor mirror, smoothed her gown, checked her pocket. A small movement, quick, like confirming a wallet is still there. I saw it. The outline of the envelope in her gown pocket. She caught me looking, held my gaze. Brown eyes. My daughter. 14 years of my life looking back at me with a certainty I had never taught her because she had built it herself. Ready, Mom? Ready. We walked in together. Margaret was already there, 3rd row, center, saving me a seat. She wore a coral blouse and a smile that said she had cleared her entire calendar for this. Wouldn't miss it, she said. Lily disappeared backstage, cap on, gown pressed, cream envelope in her pocket. I sat down, folded my hands, and waited for whatever was about to happen. They walked in like they owned the building. Donna first. Lavender dress, hair done, salon fresh, the kind of blowout she only gets for Easter and Christmas Eve. Pearl earrings, the ones she always wears when she wants people to notice her. Richard behind her in a navy blazer and khaki slacks. Pressed crease. New shoes. They walked down the center aisle to the front row. Not the 3rd row, not the middle, the front. Donna waved at a few people she recognized. Church acquaintances, maybe, or old neighbors. She moved through the crowd the way she always does, chin up, smile out, like she's hosting and everyone else is attending. They sat down. Front row, left side, 3 chairs in from the aisle. Margaret leaned toward me. Those your parents? In theory. Donna turned around and scanned the rows, found me in the 3rd. Our eyes met. She gave a stiff nod. Not a wave. Not a smile. A nod. The kind you give to someone you're acknowledging but not greeting. Richard raised his hand halfway. A small wave. Then dropped it. Donna leaned over to the woman sitting next to her, someone I didn't recognize, and said, loud enough for 3 rows to hear, "Our granddaughter is the valedictorian." Our granddaughter. She used the word "our" like she had bought a share. I felt Margaret's hand on my arm. Steady. Warm. The ceremony began. Principal Owens welcomed everyone. National anthem. A student played violin, something classical that echoed against the gymnasium walls. Awards were handed out. Names were called. Parents cheered. Camera phones flashed. And then Principal Owens stepped to the microphone and said, "Now, I'd like to introduce our valedictorian, Lily Carter." The auditorium shifted. Donna sat up straighter. I stopped breathing. Lily walked to the podium like she was walking into a courtroom. Cap and gown. Back straight. Her white dress visible beneath the graduation robe. The collar pressed flat, exactly as I had ironed it that morning. She carried a single sheet of paper and the cream envelope. She set them on the podium. Adjusted the microphone down. She was 5'2", and the previous speaker was a teacher who stood 6 feet. She looked out at the auditorium, brown eyes scanning 300 faces. She found me first. 3rd row, center. And she smiled. Small. Private. The kind of smile that's not for an audience, just for one person. Then she found Donna. Front row, left side. She held the look for 1 extra second. Not hostile. Not warm. Just steady. Like she was confirming something. "Good afternoon. My name is Lily Carter. I'm 14 years old, and I want to talk about family." Her voice was clear. No tremor. No rehearsal nerves. She sounded like someone who had been waiting to say this for a very long time. She thanked her teachers. She thanked her friends. She thanked Principal Owens and the school board and the custodian, who always unlocked the science lab early so she could run experiments before first period. Then she paused. Set aside the single sheet of paper. "But there's one person I need to thank more than anyone." I felt my throat tighten. I thought I knew what was coming. I didn't. My mother adopted me from foster care when she was 26 years old. Single. No family support. No husband. No savings. She signed the papers in a room with a wobbling table and a manila folder and a caseworker who said, "Congratulations, Mom." The auditorium was silent. This was not a typical valedictorian speech. Whatever you're doing right now, pause it. This is the part I need you to hear. If you've been told you weren't enough, by a parent, a sibling, anyone who was supposed to have your back, stay right here. Because Lily is about to say what a lot of us have wished we could say our whole lives. "Stay with me," Lily continued. Her voice didn't waver. "My mom worked 50-hour weeks for the county. She drove me to every science fair, every book club, every doctor's appointment. She read to me every single night until I was old enough to read to her. She made scrambled eggs every morning and packed my lunch with a note inside that I still keep in my desk drawer. I didn't know about the notes. I didn't know she kept them. She did all of this alone, because her family chose not to help." That word, chose, landed like a rock dropped into a still pond. I could feel the ripple move through the room. Donna shifted in her seat. Richard stared at his hands. I used to wonder why I didn't have grandparents, why there were no birthday cards, why there was no one at Christmas except me and Mom and a 2-foot tree from the dollar store. People in the audience leaned forward. A woman in the 2nd row put her hand over her mouth. "Last year, I found the answer." Lily reached into her gown pocket. Slowly, deliberately. And she pulled out the cream envelope. I saw the monogram. DC. Under the gymnasium lights, the embossed letters caught the fluorescent glare. My daughter held that envelope the way I had held it 14 years ago, with both hands, like it weighed more than paper should. My grandmother wrote my mother a letter the day she adopted me. Donna's face went white. Not pale. White. The color left her cheeks like someone had pulled a plug. "I'd like to read it to you." The auditorium was so quiet I could hear the air conditioning unit humming behind the back wall. 300 people. Not one sound. Lily unfolded the letter. Her hands were steady. That was the first thing I noticed. My daughter stood at that podium with a 14-year-old letter in her hands, and her fingers did not shake. "Dear Francis, She read it the way you read testimony. Clear. Measured. Letting the words carry their own weight. I cannot support this decision. 300 people heard my mother's handwriting. Every syllable, every carefully chosen word that Donna had written at her kitchen table on that cream stationery she ordered from a catalog in 1998. You are throwing your life away for someone else's mistake. A gasp. Somewhere behind me. A woman. I didn't turn around. That child comes from God knows where. That child. My daughter. Standing at the podium. Brown eyes. Valedictorian. You don't know her parents. You don't know her history. You don't know what kind of problems she'll bring into your life. Donna gripped the armrest of her chair. I could see her knuckles from the third row. White. Tight. Her jaw was clenched. Richard sat beside her like a statue. Frozen. Staring straight ahead. Seeing nothing. And you expect us to pretend this is normal? Lily paused. She looked at the letter. She looked at the front row. She looked at Donna. Don't come home. Don't call. Don't bring her here. Until you come to your senses, you are on your own. She let the last line settle. It filled the room the way smoke fills a house. Slowly, then everywhere. It was signed, Mom. Silence. Total, absolute gymnasium silence. The kind where you can hear a chair creak and a breath catch, and the clock on the wall tick once, twice, 3 times before anyone moves. Margaret's hand found mine. She squeezed. I could feel her trembling. I was crying. I didn't know when I had started. The tears were just there, on my face, on my hands, on the program I was holding that was now crumpled in my fist. My daughter. My choice. My girl. She stood on that stage and held every word my mother ever wanted hidden. Lily folded the letter. Slowly. She put it back in the envelope and held it at her side. That letter was written 14 years ago. About me. About a baby that someone called someone else's mistake. She let the phrase hang. 300 people holding it. That baby graduated top of her class today. She paused. Looked at me. My mother never told me about this letter. She kept it in a shoebox on the top shelf of her closet because she doesn't throw things away. She keeps everything that matters. Beat. Including me. I heard someone behind me start to cry. Not loudly. Just a sound. A raw sound. The kind that comes from recognition. She didn't adopt me to prove a point. She didn't adopt me to make a statement or win an argument or show anyone they were wrong. She adopted me because she believed I deserved a chance, and she gave me one. Every single day for 14 years, she gave me one. Lily's voice cracked. Just slightly. The first crack in 20 minutes. She steadied herself. So to my mother, Frances Carter, thank you. For choosing me when nobody else did. For keeping me when it would have been easier to listen to them. For building a family out of just the 2 of us, and a 2-foot Christmas tree and library Tuesdays and scrambled eggs every morning. You were enough. You were always enough. The applause started in the back row. A single person standing, then 2, then 10. It moved forward like a wave. Teachers standing, parents standing, students pulling off their caps to clap. Margaret was on her feet before anyone in our row. She was crying openly and didn't care who saw it. I couldn't move. I sat there with my hands in my lap and tears running down my face, and the sound of 300 people telling my daughter she was right. The applause hadn't finished when Donna stood up. Her chair scraped the floor, metal legs on linoleum. That sound, sharp, sudden, cut through the clapping like a knife through paper. She grabbed her purse. Didn't look left. Didn't look right. Didn't look at the stage where her granddaughter was still standing. Richard followed. He always followed. He stood up 2 seconds after her, adjusted his blazer, and walked behind her the way he had walked behind her for 40 years. They went down the center aisle, the same aisle they had walked in on 90 minutes earlier, waving at people, claiming credit, telling strangers their granddaughter was the valedictorian. People watched them go. Some turned back to Lily. Some watched the lavender dress disappear through the double doors. Some just stared at the empty chairs in the front row. 2 seats, still warm, with programs left on the cushions. Lily watched them leave from the podium. She didn't flinch. She didn't call out. She held the cream envelope at her side and watched her grandparents walk away from her for the second time in her life. The first time, she was 3 days old and couldn't remember it. This time, she would remember everything. My parents left before the applause. Principal Owens stepped to the microphone after a beat of silence that felt like an hour but was probably 5 seconds. "Thank you, Lily. That was extraordinary." The applause came back, louder than before. People who had sat down stood up again. Someone whistled. A teacher in the second row wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her blouse. Lily stepped away from the podium. She was shaking now. Just slightly. The adrenaline releasing. She walked backstage with her cap tilted and her gown flowing and the cream envelope still in her hand. I stood up. Margaret let go of my arm. "Go," she said. "Go find your daughter." I found her backstage between a folding table and a rack of spare graduation gowns. She saw me and ran. Cap crooked. Gown billowing. She hit me at full speed. 14 years old and still small enough to fit under my chin. I caught her. I held her. I pressed my face into the top of her head and breathed in the smell of the shampoo she had used that morning, the one that smells like green apples. "Are you mad?" she whispered. "No. I found it last summer, in the shoebox, when we were cleaning the closet." "I know. You knew." I saw the box had been moved. She pulled back, looked at me. Brown eyes. The same brown eyes I had seen 14 years ago in a blanket in a foster agency office. "Why did you keep it?" "Because it reminded me why I couldn't go back, and why I had to keep going forward." "Was it too much? Reading it up there?" I held her face in both hands. "That letter was yours too, Lily. She wrote it about both of us." She nodded, swallowed hard, then buried her face in my shoulder again. Margaret appeared around the corner, eyes red, smiling. That was the best graduation speech I've heard in 30 years of education, and I am not exaggerating. Other parents came. Handshakes, hugs. A father with tears in his beard shook my hand and said, "Your daughter is remarkable." "I know," I said. Lily still had the cream envelope in her hand. She didn't let go of it the whole time. The phone rang at 7:43 that evening. Donna's number. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was 1 minute and 12 seconds long. I listened to it once, standing in the kitchen while Lily was in the shower. She was not apologetic. She was furious. "How could you let her do that, Francis? How could you sit there and let that child humiliate us in front of the entire town? That was private. That letter was between you and me. You had no right to let her read it out loud like that. I will never forgive you for this. Never." She hung up without saying goodbye. I deleted the voicemail, poured a glass of water, drank it slowly. My mother heard her own words read back to her by the child those words were written about, and her response was to be angry that people heard them. Not ashamed of what she wrote. Angry that someone read it. Margaret called at 8. Half the county is talking about that speech. Someone posted a video. A video. A parent filmed the whole thing. It's on the school's community page. 400 views already. I sat down. Closed my eyes. "Francis, are you okay?" "I think so." Stacy texted at 9:15. "I saw the video someone posted. I'm sorry, Francis. For all of it." I typed back, "Thank you." I didn't engage further. Stacy's apology was 14 years late and delivered through a screen. I accepted it the same way I accepted Richard's birthday cards, as evidence of a conscience too small to change anything. Richard did not call, did not text. Same as 14 years ago. Some things are consistent. Lily came out of the shower in pajamas, hair damp. She sat on the couch next to me. "Want to get ice cream?" "It's almost 10. I know." We drove to the Dairy Queen